Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the noise, find the signal, and pull out those crucial bits of knowledge. Today, we're zoning in on just one day, June 24th, 2025, quite a snapshot in time, our mission, to sort of unpack how all these different threads, geopolitics, market reactions, even science news, how they actually weave together. Okay, let's unpack this.
Indeed. And June 24th, well, what strikes you immediately from the sources is a real mix of contradictions. You've got these uh, pretty profound tensions simmering, but then also these, well, surprising moments of optimism and human achievement reaching beyond Earth, too. It's a day that really captures the flux, the
Yeah.
dynamics of our world right now.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into the big headline, the one grabbing all the attention. Our sources flag former U.S. President Trump announcing a, quote, complete and total ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Big news. But what was the immediate pushback? The counter story that popped up almost instantly?
Right. Well, that's where it gets interesting. The reports, almost in the same breath, show Iran's foreign ministry coming out fast and denying any formal agreement. It wasn't just a political spin. It really showed the power of a headline, didn't it? How it shapes perception, even for a moment, and how quickly that truth can just sort of evaporate when faced with what's happening on the ground, underscored the volatility.
And the reality on the ground was pretty grim, stark, actually. Despite those ceasefire claims, our sources confirm Iran reportedly launched new missile strikes on Israeli targets. And sadly, civilian casualties were reported. Plus, U.S. bases in Qatar were targeted too, thankfully intercepted. No injuries there, but still, it's a major escalation. Really drives here the immediate devastating gap between words and actions, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And if you connect those dots looking at the bigger picture, it just hammered home that Middle East tensions, regardless of any, public statements, were still incredibly high risk that day. Action spoke much, much louder. Tragically so.
Okay, so you've got this backdrop. Declared peace, immediate conflict. How did the money world react? The markets. Our sources point to a very specific reaction to that initial announcement of a ceasefire. What happened there?
Ah, yes. Oil prices actually dipped. They hit their lowest point in weeks, which kind of eased inflation fears for a bit. In stock markets, they rallied quite strongly, actually, particularly in the U.S. and Asia.
So a burst of optimism.
Exactly. A rare moment of, let's say, financial optimism right in the middle of all this geopolitical stress. It does make you wonder, doesn't it, about market psychology. What's it tell us about how markets process news versus, well, the messy reality? They seem to latch on to the hope of peace, even if that hope was clearly fragile and quickly contradicted. Markets betting on a narrative.
A fragile narrative, yeah. Meanwhile, switching gears a bit, diplomacy. The NATO summit was kicking off in The Hague. Leaders there, Trump included, focusing on military spending, the war in Ukraine. What were the stakes?
Oh, incredibly high. The expectation, according to reports, was that the U.S. would be pushing hard for NATO members to commit more defense resources, especially, of course, with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine as a major backdrop. So the outcomes from that summit, the agreements or disagreements, they had the potential to really shape global security for years ahead. A lot of strategic maneuvering that day.
Right, high stakes on Earth.
Yeah.
But then our sources give us this complete shift in perspective, a reminder that we're also looking outwards. Like the news from the Vera C. Rubin Observatory identifying over 2,100 new asteroids in its first big data release.
That's right. And not just asteroids, there was also the Solar Orbiter mission. It captured the first ever images of the sun's south pole. I mean, that's genuinely historic space science, a real milestone.
Okay, first images of the sun's south pole.
Yeah, which kind of begs an important question, right? I mean, it's all the conflict and tension down here. Why do we keep pouring energy, resources, ingenuity into looking up, into pushing those boundaries?
Right.
What does that fundamental curiosity tell us about, well, us?
So bringing it all together for you, the listener, what does this all mean? June 24th, 2025. It really was this complex tapestry, wasn't it? Conflict, economic jitters, and hopes, and these incredible leaps in science. It shows just how interconnected everything is.
Exactly. And maybe something to think about is how these incredibly different things, this fragile truce idea, hopeful stock market, getting pictures of the sun's poles for the first time, how do they all blend together on one single day to shape how we understand progress, but also uncertainty? What does that mix of, human conflict and human curiosity reveal about who we are and the world we're navigating? Not just on that Tuesday, but, well, every day.